at Salisbury, which is where I'm back, how strange. Came to London, and I met Telly Savalas. I'm sure most of you all know. They were making the Dirty Dozen down at Pinewood, and one of the stuntmen got injured, and all the actors, Lee Marvin and all the other, they were looking for a big bloke with a lot of mouth to fill in, because it was the weekend and they didn't have a chance to go to any acting agencies. And it was Telly Savalas that just said, you should be an actor, you've got a good face. And then I met Derek Martin, the first person, funny enough, he's here today. Derek and I started on the same day with the same agent. It was a walk-on agency, £10 a day. And as you know, I was a Yeti and a Cyberman first. And my luck came because I worked hard, and I really did. And I'm always on time. My big thing about life is punctuality. In fact, I get to funerals before people die. I'd rather be early and bored than late and frustrated. So like Richard, I just got lucky. I just got lucky. And as you know, I've been in Hollywood for 21 years. Just wait, see with the crap I'm wearing, I've been in Hollywood. But it's nice to be home, I have to say. I missed England terribly. I missed the 4 seasons. 350 days of bright sunlight every day of the year can really get you down. So.
Often through 50 days of rain. Yeah, right. Okay, moving on, obviously on to Doctor Who. How did your involvement with that start? How did you get involved with doing Doctor Who?
Chance, serendipity. My agent at the time was sitting in a theatre on the first night, and by chance he was sitting next to Barry Letts. And being a good agent, he started sort of inquiring and said to Barry, you know, what are you casting? Are you casting anybody? And he said, yes, we're looking for love interest. Somebody to go with Katie Manning. And so my agent said, oh yes, and who are you looking for? And this is absolutely true. Barry said, well, we're looking for someone like Richard Franklin. And I mean, that was the most extraordinary coincidence. And so David Preston, my agent was, and he died, unfortunately. And he said, well, okay, so I represent Richard. So Barry said, get him 9:30 tomorrow morning, BBC Television Centre. And the rest is history.
My actual beginning was when Douglas Camfield, the mighty director of Doctor Who, came up to me and he said, we're wanting to cast I found out, by the way, the bloke who I thought was going to play me, it didn't happen at all the way I remembered. I can't remember now, but anyway, Douglas said to me, if you can speak, you can say lines, or keeping in mind I had no training or anything, and I was quite a quiet spoken person then because I was quite shy, and he invited me to Shepherd's Bush Studios to read John Slater's script from Z-Cast, which I did 30 episodes of during the years of Z-Cast. And I thought you had to learn. I've seen in documentaries that you have to learn everything off by heart, put the script down and then say it. So I sat there for a dreadful half hour, never having been thought of being an actor at all, because I had low self-esteem, and that can cripple anything. And anyway, I read the whole 3 pages and got it off. It was like a photographic memory. And Douglas came back, and I put the script down and did it, and I got Benton. And I just can't thank God enough for it. It's really been fabulous. Hello, face I recognize.
I was going to say, is it odd now to think that, I mean, we're coming to Doctor Who's 49th anniversary. Do you find it still quite strange that obviously when you originally got the point, did you ever envisage that come years later or whatever, that you'd still be here, you know, talking about it?
No, none of us did. And in fact, when I went on it, it was just another BBC programme. I don't think any of us thought it became cult, actually, during our period.
And did you know when you got the plot, Benton and Yates, that you were going to, it was going to be an ongoing character? Did you know there was going to be more than one story, or was it, or at that time, or wasn't that really specified?
Frankly, I don't know. I mean, I've always been a bit in the dark about my career.
We weren't contracted, Richard. Only John, Katie, and Nick were contracted. I mean, I was just a semi-regular. That's what they called me. Semi-regular, so they never called me.
I think they just called me a damn nuisance. I don't know. I know, but actually, the people even need to ask yourselves, because the Doctor Who enthusiasts, moles at the BBC, know far more. And I've learned so much from coming to these conventions about why I was paid so little and why I was paid at all. From people like yourselves. I mean, I've learned these quite serious points, actually. I've learned more about my character, the reasons why I was employed, etc., from the convention than I ever knew before. And we've had how many, 150 years now?
Almost.
149 years, which is quite extraordinary, and I mean, I am so grateful to it,
And you,
to you for being so supportive.
and the first time you worked together on the series, I think it was with Terribly Autons, is that right? That was your first story together.
Yes.
Obviously, that was the first story also that had Roger Delgado in it, and I think in Lee. What was it like? I mean, this is a general question that I'm sure we've been asked lots of times. But what was it like working with Roger? And also, what was it like working on a programme that already got quite an established cast, like Katie and obviously John was being there? Did they make you very welcome to the general?
Yes, we did. I think superlatives, you run out of superlatives. All I know is, I was earning £50 a week as Sergeant Benton when I first started. And I didn't have a car, and I used to love John's sports car, and I used to get the bus from Putney to Barnes, because John lived right near Tony Hopkins, a couple of other big names. And I used to drive his car, and we'd go around to Chiswick and pick Katie Manning up. And for me, little Johnny Woods, because I still feel I'm little Johnny Woods from Salisbury, and you know John Woods is my real name, and I couldn't have John Woods because there was already a famous John Wood, and he died, I understand, a couple of months ago. And the funny thing is, Richard, I just realized, when I got to Hollywood, I changed my name because I hated John Levene. And as Douglas Camfield once said, I'm the most, Nordic kind of person, fair hair, blue eyes, and he said, you put yourself a Jewish name. And the very thing I should have kept in Hollywood was my Jewish name, because it's run by Jewish people. And in fact, we've got a new restaurant in Salisbury. It's half Jewish, half Japanese. It's called Sosumi, and it's really nice.
Well, funnily enough, I thought of calling myself Tom Cruise.
No, and you never know what's going to happen to your life. You never know what's going to happen. When I joined Equity, it was a clothes shop back in whatever town it was. And a young lady, I've always been very polite to ladies because we don't treat ladies too well, we blokes. But it was a clothes shop, and she said, we're not taking any new actors on for 4 months. And I've been offered all this work. I've been offered Z-Cars, Softly, the movie with Telly Savalas, which I never got, by the way. And she said, fill out the card, I'll put it at the bottom of the pile, get out quickly, if my boss catches me doing this, I'm in trouble. And I said, my name is John Woods. She said, we've already got a John Wood. She opened Spotlight, looked through. I said, we're John A. Woods. She said, no, we have a John R. Woods. I said, well, Anthony John, my first two names. She said, we have an Anthony Johns. So I said, John Anthony. And they had all the names that I tried to find, and as I'm leaving the office, which was in Harley Street, right opposite the Equity was Harry Levene, boxing promoter. I ran back in the office, I said, John Levene, and the rest is history.
This business about names is quite tricky, actually. Getting a good name is a very good thing. I mean, there was an actress called Charlotte Rampling, which I think gives you an idea of what sort of an actress you might be in for. But there was a girl at Rada with me, who you probably, some of you may know. There was an old series called Live Birds. Anyone remember Live Birds? Polly James.